Alright, so you guys got yourselves settled into your new place and got business going and selling pawned goods and whatnot. Morning of probably around 11 a.m., Yonkers gets a call from Johannes de Geer.
Oh?
Hey, what, are you just waking up?
What time is it?
It's work time.
Alright, well, I've got a hangover. What's up?
I have some help that I need to ask you about, and I'd like to see if I can get some help from you and your colleagues. But I need to meet with you first, and I need to meet with you here at the Daisy Chain. So if you could come alone, I'm sure you understand.
Yeah, I'll be over in, what time? Give me about an hour. I need to get a shower.
Yeah, no problem.
And, Yonkers will politely hang up, crawl downstairs, get a shower, and, get into his street walking gear and, make his way over to the Daisy Chain with a taxi.
All right, well, you head out to the Daisy Chain, and it's not quite as busy as this picture looks during the day, but it's definitely dark and brooding, and there's kind of electronica fused emo fusion music playing. So you go in, and the bodyguards recognize you, and they move you back to the back room that you normally meet Johannes de Geer in.
I nod along to the tribute to the cover to the remix of something by Linkin Park.
When you get back, he gives you the normal spirithial Lesa greeting that I still haven't learned.
I think it's "Do you walk with the forest" or something like that.
Okay, then yeah, he says, "Ah, you walk with the forest."
I follow the paths of the old ones.
Sounds terrible trying to insert it into just casual conversation, doesn't it? All right. So he says, "How are you doing?"
Uh, the bottle of Jack and I didn't got into an argument last night.
Same old Yonkers. Well, I've got some of your favorite here, and he points to a bottle of whiskey and some glasses on the table. He says, if you want to get a little bit of the hair of the dog."
Yeah, well, best way to cure a hangover is to get another one.
Has a little bit of, casual conversation with you, but he does say, um, let's just get to the matter at hand. You of course know Olga Greyfeather, my boss, the head of the Lesa smuggling operations here in the Talisar. Well, one of her favorite Laverna or sergeants has passed on from this life. His name was Morthal. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he was a good man. He led a group of custos who Greyfeather could always rely on to get things done that she needed. Um, she offered many times to bring him into the trusted ranks of her Garis, but he always refused. He always told Greyfeather that she needed him in the front lines, or those damned unruly custos would run wild and uncontrolled. And as he's talking about this, he looks very like nostalgic, and like he's almost reminiscing as he's letting nostalgia interject into his attempts to be businesslike. He says, I was actually only offered my position as Greyfeather's bodyguard here because he refused. Did you know that?
I've been kind of out of touch with the inner
That's
workings.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, anyway, don't be too saddened. He was an old man, and he collected many health problems over his years. So uh, he was among the first wave of elves to turn. Actually, he lived a long life. But um, he he was he was a good man, Mereth, true warrior, and so he deserves a proper send off. And we're going to be performing some funeral rites publicly here in the Talisar. Um, the festivities are going to begin tomorrow during daylight hours and continue into the night. Now you might be asking me, um, what does that have to do with you?
More wondering how he. You said he's an elf, right?
Yeah, well, he did a lot of he lived a fast and furious life. He wasn't killed or anything, but he had some medical issues that he'd collected over the years, and his body finally gave out. It was he'd been going on the downward turn. He was a pretty old guy when he turned to begin with, so no one was really surprised at his death, and and it had been coming for a while.
Alright, so it wasn't a sudden case of lead poisoning.
No, nothing like that. Although, no one would have been surprised at that either, I guess. He always threw himself out into the line of fire. But, this isn't exactly a social invitation. I'm not just inviting you to the funeral or anything. I need to ask you a favor. You're surely familiar with the Humanist Poly Club.
Yeah, what about the Dreckheads?
Yeah, well, you may also be aware of their, tasteless tendency to protest and picket funerals of metahumans, especially funerals that will be high profile or otherwise very public. Well, we've been made aware of Humanist intentions to picket Morthal's funeral.
Alright.
Now, these Morkanasta cannot be allowed to get away with this in the Talisar, especially not at the funeral of someone so beloved by our Greyfeather. However, the Lesa is in a tricky position. We've always fought hard to be the guardians and caretakers of the people here in the Talisar, and for this reason, it's important to us that we not be seen as thugs who would instigate violence. You understand?
I'm listening.
Well, we'd like it if you and your associates could be there, attend the festivities, and somehow, when these protests are underway, provoke the gathered public to, let's say, take matters into their own hands. This would have the double benefit of showing the humanist fools that their bigotry is not welcome in the Talisar, or tolerated at such sacred events, as well as showing the broader public of the Talisar that the Lesa is beloved enough as to have the support of the general citizen.
Alright, I might have something for this. How many Poly Club we have coming, do we know?
We don't know exactly. We've seen in the past they've had small showing as 5 or 10 people, and as much as 100 or more people show up at events. It all depends on what they are able to muster up, and also the general publicity of the event.
You want the local citizenry, obviously, to run them off. How much of I have an idea, just thinking here. You familiar, I don't remember the manufacturer, it's something called gore armor.
I think I'm familiar with it. Is that the stuff that comes filled with a bunch of blood packs or something?
Yeah, we have a polyhumanist member take a pot shot at a elf there who was paying his respects, and bled out horribly in the streets, and some of his fellow comrades and stuff took umbrage with this unprovoked act of violence.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think anything like that could work. All that we really care about is that this whole thing comes to a head. Well, I say we, but to be perfectly honest, this is a digression here, but it still gets back to the last point that I need to make, which is I do have to ask this of you as a favor. It's not an order that is coming from Greyfeather. It's something that I'm asking you, someone who I've known for a very long time, to do for me. When Greyfeather hears that I am able to orchestrate an uprising against these humanist people at such an event, she may have me put in a position more influential within her Gurrees, perhaps no longer merely a bodyguard, but instead one who perhaps organizes and manages more of her business. You can see how this would benefit you and your teammates. I just thought I'd go ahead and get that out on the table and get it out of the way before we continue.
Alright, well, you're going to pass me the chip, then I'll do this no pay. Obviously, you probably need to cover my team.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to, but I can promise you that this would not be something that is forgotten. I would certainly owe you one. And your team.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm simple. I want in.
Well, of course, I understand that you'd have to speak to your team. I would have invited your team here, but you understand that we can't have They're kind, not to sound too much like a humanist person myself, but you understand what I'm saying. Non-elves aren't exactly welcome in the club here. It would raise eyebrows.
Thought we treated the forest a little bit better, but this is your show, not mine.
Well, it's not something I exactly agree with, but we can have people here occasionally. I just didn't want to raise eyebrows, especially on such a sensitive situation such as this that I don't exactly have. The orders from above. You know what I mean? I would like this to stay under the radar until after it has succeeded, in case it doesn't.
All right. What's my timetable?
Well, the funeral rites are going to begin tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Doesn't give me much time. All right. I'll see what I can do.
It would be very much appreciated. I really think that I'm on the cusp of becoming a more, like I said, influential part of the Caris here, and it would definitely go a long way to help getting you back into the fold. And I know that that's something that you want. It is still something that you want, correct?
As I said, I want my hand dealt in.
All right. Well, let me know as soon as you talk to your team what the verdict is, so that we can move forward in anything that, and keep me informed if you feel it's necessary. I do trust you, so you don't have to keep me in the loop necessarily. It's I trust that you'll get it done, but do let me know if your team is going to be participating or not, so I know what to expect. At the event, it'll be mostly elves, but there will be some non-elves there, I'm sure. So they won't be out of place or anything.
Well, in my opinion, if you want to start a riot, you need to do something that's going to be very sudden and over dramatic and give yourself the high ground. But let me talk with my team, and we'll let you know what the cards look like.
Alrighty.
And Yonkers will give the proper salutation and excuse himself. So Yonkers is going to do a run back to the pawn shop. I knock on doors in case people aren't up and tell them to meet me downstairs.
House is downstairs working the main register with two of his drones just idly patrolling, doing loss prevention and surveillance.
Case is in the office doing some matrix searches on some stuff.
Hey guys, have some pro bono work for us.
You know that means free, right?
Yeah, well, free, but the people who are asking us to do it will owe us a favor, and they're good people to have favors from.
Favor, huh? Well, I guess I can't say a lot. So you say it's completely free, right?
Yeah, no paycheck for it, but in the same breath, it shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Oh, what's the job?
Start a riot.
Okay.
You had me at riot.
So, long and short of it, rather prominent elvish figure died recently in the Taliflar. Issue is that while he was a respected member of the community, the poly clubs are going to be coming out in protest. In particular, the HP. We're being asked to encourage the locals to run them off and show some local solidarity against these interlopers.
Why isn't whoever's asking just run them off themselves?
Because they have to look like... They want the... You understand what the moral high ground is?
Do you?
Touche.
The moral high ground doesn't seem to pay very well.
Yeah, well, we really don't have to do that much. Just create a situation where the locals feel obligated to retaliate.
Okay, so how are we going to? Well, my first thought goes to the Orc Underground. They're probably the most organized protagonists of the Poly Club there. I think we could probably get them stirred up.
Well, the local elves and members of the Terraslar might also do it. Easiest way to, in my opinion, here's what I'm thinking. There's a novelty armor set, typically used by people who do special effects. I believe it's called gore armor, murder armor, something like that. You familiar with it?
I've heard of it, but I don't know that I've ever seen any. You guys?
No, I've never heard of it.
I've seen it once or twice, but usually it's just whenever they're trying to film a movie about urban brawl.
Yeah, well, for the young one here, pretty much it's a ballistic armor, what you would expect, but it also has some practical effects, blood bags in it. So, if someone shoots you and you look like you're bleeding like a champ, bad horror movie type stuff. Well, if one just selfless self who's walking to the funeral, pays respects, only has a number of gory flesh, bullet holes appear in his chest, and he's bleeding all over left, right, and center like a champ, might prompt the locals to take matters into their own hands with a little bit of street justice.
Who's going to be the lucky person to get fake shot?
I'll nominate myself since I'm the only elf here.
Oh, so we get to shoot you.
I
like this plan.
Well, someone else has to be standing around the Poly Club, and is going to be the one who's going to be the focus of a bunch of angry elves. We might want to set it up where I look like I get shot, but I don't actually. Getting some more practical effects.
Well, I'm probably probably the whitest guy here to put a term on it, so I can go ahead and cover the Poly Club angle, get them good and riled up.
I can do surveillance and just make sure we have everybody where they need to be and that there isn't any unexpected surprises.
Sounds like a plan to me. And the kid can maybe pull up some of his wuxia, make sure that nothing on the magical end of stuff happens or similar.
Well, I was thinking, I could do a little bit more direct route and, take control of one of the Humanist Poly Club members, control their thoughts a little bit and maybe get them to go start a fight with one of the elves. That might instigate a riot.
I'll get him to shoot at me. If it's a card-carrying member, that could save us putting one of our own in danger.
Well, no, I wouldn't bring the gun out. Just maybe he might throw a punch, but I'm sure most of the people in attendance wouldn't have trouble defending themselves.
Yeah, well, as I said, if we make sure that he has a gun and put some shots into me, I'm pretty sure the gore armor is going to do its job.
Well, I could always do the shooting and get him started, and Kid could whip him into a frenzy with his mind, because he's got Jedi powers.
Well, then again, if you're going to be the one that does the shot case, it might be in your best interest for me to make you invisible soon afterwards, so you don't get mauled by a bunch of angry elves.
Well, as I was saying...
If one of us is uploading Trio footage of this over to the local news broadcasters, it's going to encourage others to come out and seize the show, which will help provide a distraction while we escape.
Oh, I think we can grab it from both angles. Your drones have cameras, right? I've got a sim rig, so I can record the whole thing and get it all over the place.
Yeah, we can get it from street level, and we can get a little bit of some wide-angle shots.
Well, I mean, if we could get this is why I'm thinking that the kid should get one of them to pick up the gun, one of the Poly Club, someone they can ID as an actual member if they do any sort of biometrics. Have K should be the fallback in case the kid doesn't come through.
Well, I'm thinking Davros may stick out a little bit more than I would. That was my thought anyway.
Well, he doesn't have to be too close, does he?
Why don't I make Case invisible to begin with, and I can keep him visible, and then he can get in the Humanist Polycub group without being seen. He can have a gun on him just in case, and then I can try and control the thoughts of one of them to actually shoot you, Yonkers. But if that doesn't work, Case could always go ahead and shoot you, and I'm pretty sure that when I make people invisible, they can't be seen by video cameras or anything like that. So if we're filming this and if Case is standing in the middle of the crowd, they may not be able to tell exactly who shot, but if they could tell the shot came from the middle of the crowd, they would just assume that it was one of the members that did the shooting.
All right, well, at that point, Case could also probably yell some things to provoke the Poly Club,
Yeah.
Frag the Keeblers.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Start to, like I said, I could get him started, and then the kid can use his mind magic to whip him into a frenzy. Make sure they get going in the right direction.
Seems like a legitimate way to go about it. We still have one of those. We have any of those guns left over, or we got rid of them all?
Oh no, we've got boxes and boxes of guns down below. I was going to get with House when he got back here to find out exactly what it is we wanted to do with them, since changing ownership on all of them at once is going to be a tricky biz.
Well, let's get one of them loaded up with some gel rounds, and that's what we'll make sure that there's a gun there to that the kid can have our person pick up. Just you set it on the ground by the guy. He picks up and shoots me.
I could always just, you don't think they would have guns already? I could always just, if we could scout out before and see who's carrying a gun, I could always just try and pick that one person. That might be easier than planting a gun.
Well, planting a gun makes sure that we also know what they're shooting.
Oh, that's very true.
Having I can sweat a couple gel rounds that look good when sound loud and make nice pretty blood splatters when they pop the bag. I'm not exactly keen on taking some real stuff.
Well, and if I'm invisible when I do the shot, I can always just kind of shove it into some poor guy's hand who's there. He'll be surprised enough. He shoves something at somebody, they usually end up grabbing it.
Yonkers, I do have one stipulation to assist, since this is going to be a free job. The person who asked this of you, when the job is complete and it's satisfactory, I wish to meet them, because in the future, if there's going to be a free job, I wish to do business directly instead of going through a middlemensch.
I think you might have met the guy once.
Well, then you can fill me in after the job.
Yeah, I'll do, we can do introductions. Alright, I need to go do some shopping, make sure that I have my end of things so that I bleed like a chicken.
I'm going to make sure my drones are ready to go. I'm going to bring just about everything I have that flies, just so we get all the angles covered. I'm going to be at street level.
Alright.
I'll go down and get one of the pistols and go ahead and change the ownership of it to some guy. Make sure it's not traced back to us at all.
Can you just unregister it and have it be ownerless?
No, it's got to have it. It always has an owner of some kind, even if the owner is a corporation that built the gun. It starts out with an owner, and then like the owner changes when they ship it off to whoever purchases, whatever retail store purchased the gun. Then they get labeled the owner of it, and so on.
Roger.
So, Bobby, is this still July 1st that Yonkers got the call?
It is now July 3rd. That is a Thursday,
And when is the funeral?
July 4th, Friday.
UCAS Day. UCAS is what remains of the United States, so I'm going to assume that
duh.
July 4th is
July
still a
4th.
holiday.
Again, I forgot that July 4th was even coming up in real life.
Hauser's going to just have his 2 fly eyes and his 2 micro skimmers that he had working in the shop. So he's going to have 4 very small drones with him, and then he's going to just bring his armor suit and his submachine gun just in case something happens.
Yonkers is going to go give old Johnny a phone call.
I was going to go pull one of the pistols out of the crate and change ownership.
Are you going to start working on that?
Yeah.
Well, why don't I'm going to do the thing with Yonkers. Go ahead and do the rolls. You know how the rolls work, and just let me know if you get it. All right, so you call old Johnny, and he says, "Hello, oh Yonkers, hey, how's it going?"
It's moving. Have 2 items I need to have ready for me by tomorrow evening, if not before.
Rush order, huh?
Yeah, one's real easy, one's real hard.
Well, lay it on me.
Easy one is just need some gel rounds for 45 ACP.
Alrighty. 1 second. Let me make sure I got some in stock. Yeah, I got some gel rounds, no problem. How many you looking for?
20 should be fine, so just 1 box.
Alrighty. Well, I'll set one aside for you. You gonna come by today?
Yeah, if I can get the other thing in, or I'll just pick them both up at once. You ever heard of that murder armor stuff?
Have I ever heard of it? I've heard of it, yeah.
Do you happen to have any?
Well, that's not something I keep on stock exactly, but I may be able to get my hands on some.
Alright, well, standard rate is, how much does it typically run?
Now, normally I'd be able to get that for you if I had it in stock. I'd be able to get it for you. So for, I don't know, five grand. But like I said, I don't have it in stock, so you might have to, depending on if I can get my hands on it of somebody around town. That it depends. I'd have to ask around, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm willing to pay a pretty penny to get my hands on it on the quick.
Well, if you'll hold on for just a minute, I may be able to call somebody that I know who's good at this sort of thing and might have what you're looking for. How about you let me put you on hold for a minute, or I can just call you back real fast, whichever one floats your boat.
Yeah, I can hold on. Not doing anything too crazy.
Alrighty, well, just 1 second. Alright, so he comes back to you and he says, "Well, you know what? I just talked to my guy. He said he can probably get it to me. I can have it for you by tomorrow morning. But it's going to cost me a little bit to get it from him so quickly. So you have to charge you 7 grand for it."
Done and done.
Alrighty. Well, then I think you have yourself a deal, sir. And so should I see you tomorrow morning?
Yeah, do me the favor, make sure it's all ready to go. Have a performance that I need to be ready for pretty much right off the bat.
Understood. My shop opens up at 9 o'clock here, and I can have it ready for you bright and early.
You still do suits and stuff too? Like the armor-lined suits and such?
Well, you know, of course, it all depends on what you're looking for, but I definitely still do that kind of thing.
Get me a monkey suit if you can.
Oh, are you just talking about a regular old suit?
Yeah, and 1 sec. Let me. You still have those Was it PPP, triple P thingies?
Out of character, I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's I'm trying to remember. It's like SecureTech PPP. Yeah, it's an armor augmentation. They essentially are like additions that you can add to armor to make them a little bit better. So essentially, what Yonkers is looking to do is get this so we can put it under the dress clothes that he's buying, so that he can, when he goes out there and gets shot, He's pretty sure of his safety, and if anybody else, for whatever reason, takes pot shots at him, that he's going to feel reasonably comfortable that he's not going to die.
Yeah, he says, "Oh yeah, of course. We got some of that good old triple P."
Yeah, set full set of that aside too.
You're looking at arms, legs, torso, everything. That'll I can get you a whole set of that for 1,000.
All right, doesn't sound like an issue.
Alrighty.
All right.
Actually, it's 900.
Case fails. He ran out of dice. He only got 17 hits.
Oh.
And I used all my edge.
Okay.
Well, after preparing his drones and seeing that Case is having a hard time changing the ownership of the firearm, Hauser's willing to give it a shot before they take off.
How many hours did that take you?
It's 1 hour per roll, so 1, 2, 3.
10 hours, I just read.
4. Yeah.
Alright, so it's going to be a 1 hour per roll extended test of hardware?
Yes. 24 is your limit, or is your threshold. I must have accidentally picked up the gun Yonkers gave me last time, that damn gun. I don't ever want to see it again.
What is it, the Savulite Guardian?
Well, while House is working on this, Davros, by the way, on the same day that meeting happened and the electronics folks are working on their electronics, is the same day that you get a phone call from Shankar, and he says, or he sends you a message rather on your comm link saying that your lodge supplies have arrived.
Okay. I'm going to go to House and say, "Hey, Mr. House, my materials came in today at Rasputin's Secret. So would there be any way for you to program one of your vehicles to drive me over there and drive me back so I can go pick them up?"
Yeah. 1 moment, real quick. I'm trying to distinguish the gun. House, real quick, just activates the pilot program on his sedan and gives it the address for Shankar's shop. Okay, my car, it's going right now, so sorry. I'm busy. You're going to have to walk. My car is going there, so it will wait there, and then just give me a call, and I'll have it come back.
Alrighty, thank you. And so I will. How far is it to Rasputin's Secret from the safe house?
Well, 8 hours later, House is going to fail at changing the ownership.
It'll take you 20 minutes.
Alrighty, well I will head over there and to get my stuff.
All right. When you get there, you've got your stuff.
Let's see. What today's the 4th? The 3rd, right?
Yep.
Okay. No, I'm not gonna see if Kamai's there. I'm just gonna take my stuff and go. All right. Well, then I'm gonna call House, tell him I'm ready to go.
House answers the phone, cursing loudly in a mix of German, English, and like old-timey cartoon character words, and says, "Okay, the car's coming. Buckle up. No tickets."
All right. Thanks, House. And I will just head back. Not gonna do anything.
Well, Case, I don't know. I literally beat my head against this thing, and I wasn't able to change it over the course of, the afternoon. I say, honestly, let's just add more fog to the fog of war and just leave the ownership as is. If it shows up, it shows up. I mean, I know it's obvious to whoever had the cash that we stole all the weapons, but I think we can deal with them if they happen to find one pistol registered in their name. It's going to throw off everybody else, though, to see a gun owned by some third party.
Yeah, I agree. And if they haven't come looking at, we've had this online for 18 hours, and if they haven't traced it yet, they probably aren't actively looking for them anymore, if they were in the first place.
All right, well, I'm going to get some sleep now that my automobile is back and it's got Herr Dr. Davros with it. So wake me up when it's time to get ready to go.
Case is going to go and head back home. It's probably pretty late by now, right, on the day before, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Yonkers is going to crash out and get himself another hangover because tomorrow's going to suck.